With Valentine's Day coming up, I thought it'd be a fun idea to look back on some of the funniest moments in the first generation of Pokemon, since for a lot of us, Valentine's Day tends to be really depressing. So hopefully looking back on some of these moments will cheer you guys up and give you a good laugh. And I'm not just talking about funny moments from Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, but from the first season of the Pokemon anime as well. Today I decided to bring in a little help from a friend, TheGamerFromMars, to help me choose these funny moments. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as we count up the top 5 funniest moments in the first generation of Pokemon and the first season of the Pokemon anime. Alright, so I thought I'd start off my list with something that we all remember from Pokemon Red and Blue. The funny quotes. There are so many classic one-liners in these games that it's kinda hard to choose just one. So instead, I'm just going to list off the ones that I thought were the most hilarious. Like the part where one kid just says, "I like shorts, they're comfy and easy to wear." I mean, who says this to someone? I mean, imagine that happening in real life. If you actually said that to someone, they'd most likely think you had problems. Then of course we have our resident weirdo. Hey. There was also one guy who was just obsessed with his Rapidash. He'd be going on and on about it, and I was all like, "You're talking like a song from the Lion King. Stop that. It makes no sense." And of course, the always hilarious quote, "I wish my boyfriend was as good as you." Girl, you know that's true. Turn down for what? I'm sure there are plenty more quotes that I missed, so feel free to let me know some of your favorites as well.
In the beginning of your adventure in Pokemon Red and Blue version, there was an old man who was laying out in the middle of the road blocking your path. This was such an odd thing to walk up on. I mean, how often do you see an old man laying in the middle of a town? And why is he there in the first place? Upon further investigation, you find out it's simply because he wanted his coffee. Really? So you're going to stop me from continuing my Pokemon adventure because you haven't had your Starbucks yet? Funny enough, however, in the original Japanese games, the old man is not grumpy because of a lack of coffee, but rather because he was passed out drunk all night. Nintendo of America changed it for the English translations, as this was deemed unsuitable for children. I'll tell you what's really unsuitable, these dang kids on my lawn! So instead of a drunk old man in the English version, we got a man drunk from coffee. This all actually kinda reminds me of the people getting drunk off milk at the bar in The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. While there are a lot of funny censored moments in Pokemon, this one is my personal favorite. It's something that will make you look back on your childhood and realize that an old drunk man taught you how to catch your very first wild Pokemon.
One of the funniest episodes of the first season of the Pokemon anime was, ironically, the Tower of Terror. It's the episode where Ash actually dies and becomes a ghost. But during his time as a ghost, some pretty funny things actually happened. For one, there was Ghastly, Haunter, and Gengar, who were hilarious on their own. That one scene when they're sitting there watching the TV and they start imitating it was always one of my favorites, especially the part where they just burst out laughing. It's like something I would totally do. So it's no wonder Gengar is one of my favorite Pokemon. Ash, however, plays a few pranks of his own on Misty and Brock, and even makes Misty fly, but you know Ash was just using this opportunity to grab that booty. Most people thought that this was going to be a creepy episode, but it turned out to be hilarious, which is why it's one of my favorite episodes ever.
Believe it or not, in an episode of the Pokemon anime, Ash actually has to dress up like a girl and pretend that Team Rocket are his parents. This was pretty absurd because Ash had to talk like a girl and was always embarrassed about the entire thing. He had to do this because the Grass-type gym leader, Erica, wouldn't let him challenge her because Ash was a boy. I never knew that the Pokemon anime handled such hard-hitting issues like sexism. Jesse and James came up with this crazy idea in the first place, and you can tell that they were really enjoying it the entire time, laughing at Ash every chance they got. Team Rocket acting like Ash's parents is really what made this so funny. I mean, just look at the way James is dressed. He looks like Professor Egad from Luigi's Mansion. Of course, Team Rocket had their own agenda, so their costumes didn't last too long. But regardless, this little scene was one of the funniest things to happen in the first season of the Pokemon anime, mostly thanks to Team Rocket. And speaking of them,
Team Rocket are the main villains of Pokemon. However, most of the time, they're actually the most hilarious characters on the show. One of the most hilarious things about them is their ridiculous disguises. I mean, do they really expect not to be recognized in this? But surprisingly, Ash and the gang would totally fall for it. I guess that just goes to show how dumb Ash really is. Not to mention, most of Team Rocket's hiding places are totally obvious. I mean, seriously, why aren't these people fired already? The job requirements to be a part of Team Rocket must have been on the same level as Walmart's. Some of my favorite scenes with Team Rocket from Season 1 include the episode where Ash and the gang were trying to get tickets for the SSN, and Jesse and James dress up as these weird cheerleaders. And throughout their conversation, James just keeps yelling, the whole time. Another time was when they were giving their Pokemon makeovers. Ekans and Coughing were all dressed up like girls, and Coughing even had a little tutu on.
I'm sexy and I know it.
And the icing on top of the cake was when James was yelling out, "Coughing, cutie! Sludge makeover!" I think after this moment, James became my favorite character, not only because he was funny, but he also had a dramatic backstory as well, which made me care about him even more. Team Rocket really makes this show great, and I'm sure there'll be plenty more hilarious moments to come from them in the future. At this time, I'd like to thank the Gamer from Mars for helping me out with this video. Be sure to go and check out his channel for Pokemon theories and other video game theories as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been Brandon, and I'll be back next week with 50 problems with Pokemon X and Y. Happy Valentine's Day.